Hello, thank you for joining me. Today I'd like to talk about tatting with beads. This topic could go on forever because there are a lot of different ways you can use beads with tatting, a lot of different styles of beads, sizes. I thought I would just focus on this earring to show you two of the three ways that you can work the beads into tatting. In my opinion, tatting with beads can be put into three different categories. Loading the beads onto the thread before you start tatting, so you can include the beads in the tatting as you go. You can join the beads to the tatting as you go, but they're not loaded on the thread. You're including them in the picot join. And then you can either sew or glue them on after you're finished tatting. So to begin with, and working with beads requires a little planning ahead. So for this earring, there are 5 beads included, and there's going to be 1 bead included in the ring at the bottom here. So we need to load 1 bead on the thread before starting work. And depending on what size thread you use and what size bead you use, you have to make sure that you have a crochet hook that will fit through the bead and be able to pull your thread through the bead as well. Some crochet hooks won't do that. So the types of beads that I normally use, and I have this little salt dish here that I usually use so you don't have beads everywhere. The size of bead that I usually use for size 10 thread, about 6 or 4 millimeter bead, and size 20 thread, seed beads, which you need a very fine crochet hook for that. I'm going to work this sample pattern in size 10 thread so that you can see what I'm doing a little better. Okay, this pattern, the original pattern that I did was the bottom ring was 3, 16, 3. That did not include a bead. This pattern is going to be 3, 8, bead, 8, 3. So we need 1 bead loaded on there before you even start tatting. And as you can see, if we're going to work this pattern the way it's written, A, B, C, D, you're not going to use that bead until the 3rd ring. So you're just going to wind that bead back onto your shuttle until you need it. You just wind that on there and then wind your shuttle back up. And then start with ring A. And that's going to be 3, 8, picot, 8, 3. Now, this is where you need to do a little planning also, since we plan on putting beads in these picots, joining these picots with beads. You need to make the picots a little longer because you're going to include this bead in your join. So you need to make sure that that picots long enough to accommodate the bead and the join. So it's a medium picot with a little bit longer. All right, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A small to medium picot for your earring finding. Then your second set of 8 stitches. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another medium picot that you will join a bead join. And as you can see, the bead is just sitting here on the shuttle out of the way. You won't need it for a while. All right, there's your first ring. Close that. Okay, now your second ring is 3 bead join 5 picot 3. 1, 2, 3. Take your crochet hook into your bead. Put your crochet hook through the picot and slide the bead onto the picot and keep your hook in the picot and make your join. Pinch that, put your shuttle through, remove the loop, and there's your bead join. Do your next 5. Another medium picot. 2, 3. Close that. You've got one bead join done. Okay, this is your third ring, so you need this bead off the shuttle because you're going to include that in this third ring. You unwind, pull the bead close, and you start your ring the same as usual, where you wind the thread around your hand, but you're going to include the bead in that ring. You have the bead on the thread. When you wind it around your hand, make sure the bead is somewhere on that ring. So the pattern here is 3 picot join 8 bead. So you do the first 3, and we are going to do another bead join here. So we do the same as we did before. Put your crochet hook through the picot, slide the bead off the crochet hook onto the picot. Excuse me. Keep the crochet hook in the picot. Make your join. Sometimes you have to finagle this. Pull that. Now you're going to, and you still got this bead over here, going to do your next 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, now you need to put that bead in place on your core thread. Just pull that in, put it next to the previous stitch, and make your next double stitch. That's all you have to do. And you do your next 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do another medium picot. Do your last 3. And so you've got 3 bead picot, bead join, 8 bead, 8 picot, 3. Close that ring. And there you go. Now, this last ring might seem like it's going to be tricky, and it is, but if you understand what it needs to be doing, it's not that hard. You're going to be doing 2 bead picot joins, and one of them is twisted or not. Before we go ahead and do this, I will explain. We've been doing twisted picots on this 4th join because when you look at the finished product, you'll be able to see that picot and you want it to lie flat. But if it's covered with a bead, if it's twisted, you're not going to see that. So it's up to you whether you want to do it a regular join or a twisted join. All right, so you're going to start your first 3. You do the first bead join. Pull a loop up. Just shuttle in there. Remove your loop. Do your 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this is your last bead join. I'm going to try and make this a twisted join just to show you. You start the same way, fold it over top, put your bead on your crochet hook, and do the same thing for a bead join. You put the hook through the picot, slide your bead onto the picot, and twist your picot, join it, pull there. You're doing everything the same, you just have a bead on the picot as well. Put your shuttle through the loop, remove the loop, and do your last 3. 1, 2, 3. Close the ring. And there's your earring with 4 bead joins and a bead in the bottom ring. Now this particular example only has one bead in this ring. I only loaded one bead on the thread before I started the earring. This particular pattern, I loaded 3 plus 4. Now, and this fourth bead, I'll show you how to do that in another video. You're doing that in a different way, but I put a seed bead, I think this is a 4mm bead, and a seed bead. When you load the beads on, you load the beads size-wise any way you want. You just include those in a picot. And remember, a picot is just a space held between the stitches. You can have a picot that's this long and have that many beads there. That's why I say you have to plan ahead. So that's another example of how you can add beads to the bottom ring. I hope this has answered some of your questions about using beads and tatting. Thank you for watching.